The ballroom shimmered beneath cascading crystal chandeliers, every surface reflecting light, wealth, and expectation. While guests in tailored suits and designer gowns moved through the space with effortless confidence, unaware that tonight would belong to something far less predictable than social order. Victoria Hale, the young millionaire celebrated for building her empire from nothing, stood at the center of attention with a champagne flute in her hand and a smile that suggested she had never faced a challenge she could not outshine. Her laughter carried easily across the room as she spoke about ambition, talent, and the value of excellence. Her words wrapped in playful arrogance that made the crowd lean closer, eager for entertainment. Near the edge of the hall, partially hidden by decorative pillars and the soft hum of conversation, Daniel worked quietly in his gray janitor's uniform, polishing the marble floor with steady precision, moving with the patience of someone accustomed to being overlooked. He kept his head slightly lowered, not from shame but from habit, aware that in rooms like this visibility belonged only to those with status. The piano near the staircase, a grand instrument with a glossy black finish, stood unused as a decorative symbol of culture, admired but untouched. Victoria glanced toward it as if searching for a prop to match her speech, and in a burst of impulsive confidence she declared that true talent was rare and that money could secure anything except genius. Then, spotting Daniel standing nearby, she decided to turn the moment into amusement. With a playful tilt of her head and eyes sparkling under the lights, she called out across the ballroom, challenging him to prove himself, and with dramatic flair she announced, "Play, and I'll marry you." The room erupted instantly in laughter, guests exchanging delighted looks, assuming it was a harmless joke designed to entertain them, not realizing how deeply the words would echo. Some raised their phones to capture what they believed would be an embarrassing scene, expecting the janitor to decline nervously or fumble for an excuse, because in their world roles were fixed and boundaries clear. Daniel paused, his hand resting on the handle of his mop, absorbing the sound of laughter without reacting outwardly, though something in his eyes shifted, not with anger but with quiet determination. He placed his cleaning tools carefully against the wall, as though closing one chapter before opening another, and walked toward the piano with measured steps that surprised a few observers who had already begun to lose interest. His movement was calm, deliberate, almost respectful, and as he sat down at the bench, a subtle change settled over the crowd, curiosity replacing mockery. The room grew slightly quieter, conversations fading into whispers as fingers hovered above glasses and anticipation began to replace amusement. Daniel adjusted his posture, inhaled slowly, and let his hands rest on the keys for a brief moment, as if reconnecting with something long forgotten, while Victoria watched with an expression that blended confidence and impatience, still certain that the challenge would end in her favor. When he pressed the first key, the note resonated through the chandelier-lit space, soft yet clear, drawing attention like a single star appearing in a dark sky. The second and third notes followed in perfect harmony, transforming the atmosphere, and within seconds the melody unfolded with astonishing richness, revealing not hesitation but mastery. His playing carried depth, emotion, and technical brilliance, weaving through scales and chords with fluid grace that filled every corner of the ballroom, replacing laughter with stunned silence. Guests lowered their phones, some leaning forward unconsciously, captivated by the unexpected beauty emerging from beneath the uniform that had once defined him. The music rose and fell with dynamic intensity, shifting from gentle passages to powerful crescendos, each phrase telling a story of discipline, sacrifice, and dreams set aside but never abandoned. Victoria's confident smile began to fade as she realized that this was no ordinary performance, that the man she had dismissed was commanding the room without demanding attention, and that every note challenged the assumptions she had made. The chandeliers seemed to shimmer differently now, reflecting not glamour but awe, as Daniel continued to play with unwavering focus, transforming the ballroom into a concert hall and turning her playful challenge into a moment no one would forget. The final note of Daniel's performance lingered in the air like a held breath, and for a moment the ballroom felt suspended between disbelief and revelation, as if time itself were unsure how to proceed after witnessing something so unexpected. Applause began hesitantly, then surged into a powerful wave that echoed off the marble walls and crystal chandeliers, surrounding him with admiration that contrasted sharply with the laughter that had filled the room only minutes earlier. Victoria stood near the edge of the piano, her champagne glass still untouched, watching the janitor who had transformed the atmosphere without raising his voice or demanding attention. For the first time that evening, she felt a quiet uncertainty replace her confidence. Not because she had been proven wrong in public, but because she had underestimated someone so completely. Daniel rose from the bench with calm composure, acknowledging the applause with a slight nod, his expression humble yet steady, as though performing brilliantly in front of powerful people was simply another chapter in his life rather than a triumph. Guests gathered in small clusters, whispering about his technique, his emotion, and the depth of his interpretation, speculating about where he might have trained and why he worked as a janitor, their curiosity now replacing mockery. Victoria stepped closer, studying him as though seeing him for the first time, noticing details she had ignored before. The confidence in his posture, the quiet intelligence in his eyes, the absence of desperation in his demeanor. The challenge she had issued in playful arrogance now echoed differently in her mind. No longer a joke, but a reminder of how quickly assumptions can collapse under the weight of truth. She cleared her throat softly and admitted that she had not expected such extraordinary talent, her tone sincere rather than defensive, and the surrounding guests fell silent, eager to hear how the moment would unfold. Daniel responded with respectful calm, explaining that music had always been his passion, that he had studied for years before circumstances forced him to prioritize family responsibilities over performance, and that working as a janitor had provided stability during difficult times. His words carried no bitterness, only acceptance, revealing resilience rather than resentment, and the room absorbed the story with growing admiration. Victoria realized that the laughter she had initiated had come from a place of confidence without awareness, and for the first time she felt the weight of responsibility that accompanies influence, understanding how easily words can shape perception. A gentle murmur spread through the crowd as people reconsidered their earlier amusement, recognizing that true genius does not require a spotlight to exist, and that greatness can remain hidden until given an opportunity to emerge. The piano, once a decorative element, now seemed like the centerpiece of transformation, its polished surface reflecting a man who had turned a casual dare into a defining performance. Victoria extended her hand toward Daniel, not with the tone of a millionaire granting favor, but with genuine respect, acknowledging that his talent deserved recognition beyond the confines of that evening. Cameras resumed recording, yet this time they captured something meaningful rather than sensational, preserving the shift in atmosphere that had taken place. Daniel accepted her handshake politely, maintaining dignity without pride, showing that validation did not alter his character. As conversations gradually resumed, the tone of the event had permanently changed. Guests spoke more thoughtfully, their earlier assumptions replaced by curiosity about the man who had redefined the night. Victoria remained near the piano for a few moments longer, reflecting on how easily she had tried to turn a person into entertainment and how unexpectedly he had turned entertainment into inspiration. She understood that wealth could command rooms, but it could not manufacture authenticity, and that applause earned through effort carries a different weight than laughter sparked by superiority. The ballroom slowly returned to its rhythm, yet something intangible remained altered, a quiet reminder that talent can live anywhere and that humility often reveals itself only after pride has been challenged. Daniel returned to his responsibilities later that evening, but the atmosphere around him had changed. No longer was he simply the janitor, but the man who had demonstrated that brilliance can emerge from the most unassuming places, leaving everyone present with a lesson they would remember long after the chandeliers dimmed.